Welcome to this edition of the Beacon of Light podcast. I'm going to set this one up a little bit differently. So I do these podcasts, and I have absolutely no idea exactly what I'm going to say. Just kind of make it up as we go along. So this is Zach Singleton, right? So, how old are you?
I'll be 33 on the 28th.
I want you to take me back. I guess this is a lot of similarities, but I do. What's your, back to the very first recollection of your first experience with alcohol, drugs? What was your first?
It was drugs, actually. Weed, marijuana.
How old were you?
I was 14. And I was kind of interested anyways, just because I grew up in a household where my father was very involved with drugs. He was a drug recognition expert for the Highway Patrol, so he's a police officer. And
Scott did that?
Yeah. And he was well above college educated on neurochemistry and all different types of drugs, and I found it very fascinating growing up. And so the dark side to that was he was giving me the educational tools to have a good understanding and a grip on the world, but there was also a cognitive dissonance that happened because there was the DARE program, and they spew all kinds of fear-mongering stuff about drugs, that that you're going to die instantly if you try weed or whatever, and like the actual effects are not so face value. And I kind of took that cognitive dissonance and ran with it. So it was like, I have a curiosity of these specific things. And so I started smoking weed with my friends, and hallucinogenics were always like the biggest one I wanted to try. Well, my dad...
Anything specific?
Mushrooms. Mushrooms and LSD later on, but mushrooms were very particularly very interesting to me, because it was like, wow, you can actually see things that aren't there from eating mushrooms. And so
Wait, see things, are you sure they're not there?
No, definitely not. I'm not sure they're not there. I think you see things from a different frame of perception.
Different prism, maybe?
Yeah, a different perception for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean,
you said perception, I said prism.
Prism.
Right?
Yeah, like Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, just saying.
Right.
Okay, so let's fast forward then. You're doing weed. We'll get back to the timeline, because I want to talk about accidents or coincidences, right? Of which there are none.
Right.
Right? How you and I came to cross paths. I was going to church to support another patient at Beacon Recovery at the time. Now, in the church, they break it up from where the men go and meet. They call that priesthood, right? And at the time, the owner of Idle Isle Cafe was the instructor for this group of men in this church that's here in Brigham City, right? And he knew who I was, and asked me to talk about what I did. I wasn't there other than just to support this other individual. I wasn't there to talk about what I did, but the guy that owns Idle Isle at the time decided to have me speak and share what I do, right? So I did. You heard about this, right?
I believe vaguely.
Well, your dad was in that group of men and came up to me with tears in his eyes because he was really concerned about his son. And his son got some sort of a drug and or alcohol, some kind of problem. Right?
Right.
And that's how you came to Beacon Recovery, Just want to, and when I say accidents or coincidence, there's no, it doesn't, those don't exist. There was no accident. It wasn't a coincidence that, I came to be there to talk about this. Now, that individual that I went to go support, I don't even remember who it was, to be honest with you. I didn't go to support them. I went there to support you, and you weren't there on that particular Sunday. For all I know, you're probably at home doing drugs.
Probably.
Maybe
Very likely.
on that day, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so just setting up how you and I came to be. And we'll talk about how you and I came to be recently to put you in this chair in reference to how you and I met was that yesterday?
The day before.
We were both in therapy that day.
Right. Absolutely.
That was therapy. That is
It
therapy
is
for me.
100% therapy.
I mean,
It's been
right?
the greatest form of therapy that I've ever committed to.
Me as well. I mean, I go to therapy with a
do that too.
therapist,
Yeah.
right, once a week for the last year and a half.
I do the same.
Not taking anything from my therapist, but she's got nothing on that place.
And I mean, there's really just something to be said about exerting effort for upfront pain in return. Because that's what you get out of the gym. You get pain for your efforts. And then the benefits of that show immediately and then compound over time.
But we'll stay here for a sec. I don't stare at people, but I don't do the gym the way a lot of people do the gym. I mean, I kick my ass.
Right.
I get to a place where I cannot take another stroke with whatever I'm doing, whether it's on the rower, the ropes, it doesn't matter, bench pressing, whatever I'm doing. I like to get it where I do the reps, whatever it is, to where I don't think I can do another. And then I do 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 more.
Go and tell
Where
you
I'm just,
physically cannot.
I'm spent, right?
Right.
Because it's in those moments where, I watched a study where they're talking about a particular area of the brain. Don't remember what the area was. It's a small area of the brain, but it's an area that's important, that they find is much larger in athletes, because athletes push themselves to what I just described to you. It's a good part of the brain. You're supposed to know what part of the brain
I
it
think
is.
I know what you're talking about.
But it's
it
much.
grows with more self-efficacy.
It's something that they find more often in athletes because of the way they push themselves.
Right.
Okay, now let's go back up then. And we'll circle back to you and I meeting in the gym, right? Accidents, right? Coincidences.
Right.
Because I don't go in the gym in the afternoon. I usually go in the morning, but my alarm didn't go off that day. So I'm not going to go through a day without going, and so I went in the afternoon. I don't go in the afternoons. I go at 5 to 5:30-ish.
In the morning?
Yeah.
I was going at 3 a.m. for quite some time. But I
Okay,
wanted
now
to
you're
get,
pushing it.
I wanted to get meals in later on.
Okay, that's
day,
just
so.
crazy.
Well, I had to because my work starts at 5, so.
Yeah. So we'll go back then. Start marijuana, 14.
Yeah.
No, you know that we did Trump just recategorized marijuana to what class, from one class to another.
Schedule 3, I believe now.
Went from 1 to a 3,
Yeah.
which, why marijuana was in the same category with heroin and fentanyl. I mean,
It's crazy work.
just like, come on, guys, really?
Really.
Okay. Let's go off into the real Schedule 1 stuff. Did you ever graduate to any of that?
Oh, yeah. All of it.
What was your first experience with something? What was it?
Mushrooms, definitely.
Shrooms?
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I have like a split perception on mushrooms. If they're used in the proper context, they can be helpful to certain people, but they're not for everybody, and they should be very controlled. And I think there's a lot of research in medicine coming out on that. But where I was far too young to be dabbling in that sort of thing at that point in my life. I was about 16.
Well, look, I'm going to turn this timer on so I can keep an eye on what we're doing. The fact of the matter is, I don't know, how old was I when I started smoking marijuana? Wherever old it was, I was probably too young to be messing with THC then as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
you know what I mean? I'm sure 14 was probably young for you to be messing with THC.
Definitely. Very.
Right? So what was it again that you transferred to, that you graduated from? What was it? You said it was
just
mushrooms?
yeah.
Psilocybin?
And alcohol occasionally when I was like 16.
So 16 is when you started messing with shrooms?
Yeah.
Alone?
No. Friends, always. I always did it with friends.
And that's when you really started thinking, wow.
Very interesting. It was very interesting. And like, it stayed very even keel with just those things. Just mostly pot all the way up until like, actually, so towards the end of high school, when I was getting close to graduation, I actually got a charge for selling weed when I was 16. And
How old were you when you came to Beacon?
I want to say the first time I was 28.
Okay.
And so I was selling weed when I was 16. I got a distribution charge. Did like 2 weeks in a juvenile facility and had like 6 months probation. It was nothing for a felony. And then when I entered my junior year, my mother started having psychotic breaks from methamphetamines, and she pushed me so far away from the drug ideals. I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to do any of this. And so from that point on until I was maybe 19 years old, I was entirely sober. I didn't do anything, nothing. I didn't even drink caffeine because I was just so put off by the idea. But it was friends that I was hanging around, and they were always partying and drinking, and so I started drinking when I was 19, all the way up, and I don't know. It wasn't like a full staple. I never was like an alcoholic. I was just partying, and I'd party.
Keg parties, stuff like that?
Yeah, big, huge ragers, and just drinking for fun whenever. And I don't know, about age, let's see, past 21, obviously, like 19, started with the LSD and stuff.
Oh, blotters?
Yeah, blotter acid, liquid acid. I did a ton of acid. Then, I mean, I didn't really experiment with anything outside of the realm of psychedelics. And then when I got older, it was...
But you were functioning.
Oh, very much so, yeah. And I wasn't like on drugs.
If anybody can function when they're taking acid, I don't know if that's possible.
Oh, you can. You just don't take it very often and in smaller amounts.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were points where I couldn't function, obviously, but it wasn't like hindering my daily life. It's like you set a day aside and go trip out with your friends, kind of thing. And the drugs really didn't, like the really gripping, problematic points of drugs didn't really creep in until later after I had my child.
Wait. Let's just make sure we get the right definition here. You just said that the really problematic aspects of your drug addiction career didn't take place till whenever. But shouldn't you have said that you noticed?
That's what I noticed.
I mean,
right.
That you were aware of.
Yeah.
But we can safely say that...
There was problems long before that, correct.
Before you said.
Yeah.
Because that's what we always think, right? We always think... Yeah, you can look into the camera.
Okay.
Yeah. We always think that nobody notices that we're high.
Yeah.
We always think that...
What a delusion. What a grand delusion.
It is. The whole thing is delusional when you get right down to it.
Absolutely.
But so, yeah, let's make sure we're on the right page. We're on the same page. The problem that you recognized, but we can safely say that long before you recognized it, it was a problem for somebody else.
Right. And I guess a better frame to put that in is where it started impacting my ability to live, in my relationships. And so, let's see. Before I had my child, I was using Kratom. It was back before you could get it in the gas stations and all that crazy stuff that's happening. You used to have to import it from a foreign country. I'd buy it from Thailand and Indonesia, and big bricks, and they'd come in the mail. And that's how you would buy it back then. But it was like a...
And then resell it?
No. It was just kept it in the freezer and used it when I felt like it, kind of thing. And that was the really starting point of opiate addiction for me. because I would do it, and my significant other at the time really didn't like when I took a lot of it. She's like, you kind of look like you've been taking pills and all this sort of thing, and it started a big cascading effect of relationship problems. And I just kept doing it. Like, I kept doing it, and then some betrayal happened in the relationship, big problems that I didn't have the tools to process at the time. And so that led to me taking pills from coworkers. I started taking oxycodone from coworkers that had it, and that led to really, really, really heavy opiates all the time. And I had another acquaintance at the time whose mother passed away from cancer, and he sold me a big box of fentanyl patches. There were hundreds of them for like $100. And
Steal, baby.
yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
That was a problem. It was a huge problem. And I was sticking them to myself and chewing them up and doing all kinds of like really terribly, terribly not well thought out things with them. And eventually I ran out. And when I ran out, that's when I started turning to heroin.
Because you got to have something.
Right, exactly. I was sick, and I was like, so I called one of the scuzzier people that I knew and went and bought heroin from them.
Hey, come on. Drug dealers are human, too. Come on.
This person,
Right?
this person was particularly a terrible influence in my life for a very long time. He's actually, I believe, in Salt Lake County Jail and has been there for about a year and will probably end up being transferred to the prison. I don't know.
Was he a patient at Beacon at some point?
No.
No?
Mm-mm. I don't think he would have ever even considered going to rehab. And so, yeah, that's how the heroin started. And
Smoking it or shooting it?
I went straight to IV. I never decided to try to smoke it. It was just, I was already familiar with needles because I had done plenty up. I guess we can't forget about the ketamine era. So, like, I had traced sources online to find chemicals from China that were, like, really new. A ton of them, all different kinds. And there was really no regulation back then. And so they would just supply all these different hallucinogens and dissociatives and a lot of cousins to ketamine, which what I was using was substantially stronger than ketamine. I didn't know that at the time, but it was very, very...
Was this IM? You were taking shots or?
Yeah, I started with IM and then I started IVing it later on. But, you know, I think the...
Wait. You mean putting it in your veins?
Yeah.
Yeah, not like an actual IV, but you're talking about in your veins.
Yeah. And so
And so you're full on in your addiction at this moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Just,
and
yeah.
The ketamine was actually like the thing that really set off the breaking of the relationship, because she would just see me all over the place, just wasted on ketamine all the time, or these ketamine analogs, because ketamine lasts for about 30 minutes to an hour full total effect, but 30 for like peak effect. The analog that I was taking,
Oh my gosh.
the analog that I was taking was 4 to 6 hours of effect, and a much deeper, more vibrant type of an effect. And I'd completely be out of my mind, just slobbering on myself. And she really didn't like that, and I don't blame her.
But inside you were enjoying that.
So, yeah, absolutely. Right? I thought I was enjoying it, and I think particularly what I liked about it is it has an antidepressant effect. Mm-hmm. And I was in deep, dark depression at the time, and so I would use it, and then for a couple days after, I wouldn't feel depressed.
Well, so just to be clear, as you well know, we do ketamine for certain patients here.
Right.
And everything we do at Beacon Recovery, I was the guinea pig. So I did ketamine, mm-hmm. right? They were offering it at some place for free with veterans with PTSD, which I was diagnosed with. So I did the ketamine, and I had IM, right? They weighed me to determine how much they were going to. I don't know if they jabbed me in the arm or in my ass or something. I don't even remember. But I remember my real positive experience with ketamine wasn't when I was under the influence.
It's the
It was
coming days
after. Yeah. Yep.
And for
Exactly.
me,
I mean, you feel really good
yeah,
for days, sometimes longer than that afterwards.
absolutely. And I mean, for me, it was mostly days, but I think coupled with therapy, it's more effective. It's just,
Yeah.
I didn't have therapy. I was self-medicating in all kinds of crazy doses, and it doesn't necessarily have a chance to take root and change those neurological pathways when you're using it recreationally.
Versus with therapy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't a controlled setting, and I was using a very sketchy analog of it. And I mean, a lot of its analogs, which this gets much darker down the road. But, so heroin takes huge precedence. It's constant. I'm always doing it at this point in my life. And
How you paying for it?
I was running a business at the time. I had a drop shipping business that was doing quite well. I was also working for a marketing firm, running companies, Inc. 1000 companies, very high profile businesses, celebrities, building websites for celebrities, all sorts of things like this. And having good money and a drug habit makes for a pretty bad situation. I'd work. I felt like that I worked better when I was on drugs because I wasn't with anxiety. I felt like it was kind of performance enhancing in a way because I wasn't thinking about my own personal life and facing those struggles while I was trying to work.
You're staying focused.
Yeah, exactly. And like with that, like I never really dabbled with stimulants much. They're just not my thing. My mom, watching her undergo tons of psychosis and stuff from stimulants, I just was very turned off too. So, I had a night where I was pretty much done living. I didn't want to live anymore. I was very suicidal, and I had a bunch of chemicals from China, all dissociatives, and I packed them into a syringe, everything that I had, and did it all in one shot. Everything swirled around me. I was incoherent, and when I came to, it looked like floating faces, but I was like battered. And I was like, what the hell? Why am I back? Because I was fully expecting to die from this. And my sister keeps asking me questions, and I'm like trying to respond. And the only thing that I could mutter out of my mouth was, I don't want to live anymore. I was trying to die. And so they put me into Access Behavioral at McCady Hospital. And over the time that I was in there, we like went through this whole thing, and I was using heroin in the closet. Nobody knew that I was on heroin at this point. And the therapist had convinced me to have a family intervention and tell them what I was doing. And so I sat down with my child's mother and told her, hey, this is what's going on. I've been using heroin, IV. I've been using opiates for the past year. And she was taken back, but she supported me.
Because you came clean.
Right.
Yeah.
And I went home and spent a couple of days just detoxing, and my head starts getting the better of me because I wanted attention, and I wasn't getting the attention that I wanted and the type of love that I was searching for. And she was showing me all kinds of love. I was just too blind to see at the time. And so I got in my car and I drove to Salt Lake and I bought heroin, and then I drove home, went off the radar. Everybody was asking where I was, and I just ignored them, and then came back, and she's like, what happened? I said, oh, I went for a drive to clear my mind. I was still sober when I got home, but she's like, okay. We get settled in, and then I'm like, I'm gonna go take a bath, which, you know, I was going in the bathroom to do drugs. And so I go in, I get my drugs ready, and then I do them, and I go out, and I'm walking out, and she says, will you get that pizza box and take it outside? So I said, yeah. And as I'm walking to the door, she looks at me and she goes, you just got high in the bathroom, didn't you? And I just froze up. And she's like, this is it. We're done. Like, you're going to have to get your stuff and move out. And so that was where the relationship ended. And I continued to use when I moved out. I lived with my little brother for some time. Got sober there for a little bit. Got off the heroin. That was an amazing summer. That summer was great. I spent a ton of time with my daughter. Went through the whole withdrawals of heroin by myself. Handled it. Brute forced my way through it. And spent about 6 months completely sober. And at the time, there was like some talk back and forth of like trying to rekindle my relationship. And so I spent like 2 weeks. This was like right as COVID was starting to happen. I spent about 2 weeks over there with her, and things were going really well. And then she decided that she was going to go on this like vacation thing with her friend, and she ghosted me the whole time. Tried to tell her I love her. She just ignored me. It was too much for me. I relapsed. I started relapsing on Suboxone because I figured, this is a safer route to like kind of chip and not get caught up. It was full blown right after that. I tried it, boom, back on it, full blown. And so I moved back home from Ogden. And
back home, man, you're now with your parents?
Yeah, I was living in my dad's basement at the time. And I kept doing heroin, ended up the first rehab stint that I came to through here. And I was also on like all kinds of meds from the doctor.
Wait, this is when you first came to Beacon?
Yeah. I was also on all kinds of meds from the doctor, which was kind of the tether.
Wait a minute, weren't you taking
benzos?
Up in Logan, you were going someplace.
Methadone, yeah.
Methadone.
I was on methadone too.
They had you on some high doses of methadone. And as I recall, you were trying to get them to get you off that, and they were giving you problems with that.
Yeah, they actually kicked me out of the rehab, or kicked me out of their program, because Kirk, who's working here, who's an absolute Chad. Kirk is awesome.
What does that mean, Chad?
Chad, it's like Giga Chad. You're like, what's a better word for it?
Stud?
Yeah, stud. A Chad, same thing. He's a stud.
I don't know what that. Okay, so there's an age difference here. I'm old, I suppose. I didn't know what that. For a minute there, I was like, "Is Chad a bad thing?" So
yeah.
So it's a good thing.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
Kirk
he is
amazing. And so he came up with this protocol that he had gotten from this opioid therapist that takes you from small doses of Subutex all the way up to like 16 milligrams while you're on the methadone, and then you get up to like 32 and just stop taking it.
The methadone.
Yeah, it saturates your receptors with the Suboxone while it slowly kicks off the methadone all the way up, and then you're switched over.
Then you can gradually come back off.
Right. The best way, Sublocade shot. I will die on that hill. Sublocade is a medical miracle. That stuff is amazing. And so I did one Sublocade shot and was completely sober after. Except for benzos, which was the deepest problem I have ever gotten myself into. I was still on the benzos. Basically, the majority of time I was in rehab with you guys, I was on
legally.
Benzos. Yeah, legally. And it was the doctor had
Which ones in particular?
Klonopin and Xanax. The doctor had prescribed both of them to me, which is crazy, and should probably get his
Wait. I was going to say, not any doctor associated with Beacon Recovery.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Some ditwit. Was that the knucklehead in Logan?
No, that was the one down here in Brigham. Yeah, he had me prescribed.
Did I hear you say that his license should be revoked?
Probably, yeah.
Better not say his name.
Yeah, I was going to say probably should.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was picking up Klonopin from one pharmacy and Xanax from another because the pharmacies would catch on, obviously. And so that was going on that whole time. And the benzos, I noticed, lowered my inhibitions. And so I was ordering a ton more research chemicals on the internet at the time. So I don't know if you recall this, but I came into rehab a couple of times completely out of it. And you guys were like trying to figure out what was going on. And you couldn't test whatever I was on. So you guys were like, no, we know something's going on, but we can't prove it. And
because then we didn't have the ability to test for it.
Right.
We do now.
You guys had awesome testing still. Like amazing testing. You guys were testing for nitazines way before they became like a big thing here. And so, yes, absolutely. And, so the benzos would lower my inhibitions. I'd buy these crazy drugs and then do them and then get into all kinds of trouble. And that was like a really reoccurring theme for that era of my life.
Wait a minute. Did you make that thing high? Look in the corner.
No, I was completely sober.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, I was completely sober when I made that.
Okay.
That was during the 2 years.
Okay, good, because I'm glad you were sober, because I like that.
Yeah.
You made me a... Hold on. I don't know what this is.
It's a teapot.
Whatever.
It's an ornamental teapot. It's definitely not functional.
One day, he comes in with this thing. Right? That I never used, by the way, to make tea.
I don't recommend it. It's not functional.
I mean...
Mixed media.
Huh?
It's mixed media. So
I mean, took you a minute to... You didn't start off making this for me. You made it and then gave it to me, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pottery was like one of my favorite things to do. It's just really, really, you got to have a lot of equipment and
Yeah.
place to do it. So
Okay, I'm sorry. I got distracted
No.
with your...
that's totally fine.
So now that I look at it, it's a teapot.
Mhm.
Yeah. Never knew what it was till just now. Okay.
So I was. This became a reoccurring theme with the benzos and the research chemicals, and I dropped out of here because I just lost ambition entirely. I was like, whatever. I told my dad, I was like, I dropped out, and so I don't think he was super happy with me, but
No, he wasn't.
no, he
I remember.
And so
No.
from that point, I started overdosing. I bought a newer chemical called 3-hydroxyphencyclidine, which is related to PCP, but much, much more hallucinogenic and sedating. I took a huge amount of it on accident because my scale was not calibrated properly, and it was a very dose-sensitive drug in very small doses. I took a huge amount, and my mom found me completely anesthetized. I put myself under. Basically, somebody could have done surgery on me, and I wouldn't have felt it. And she tried to Narcan me. It didn't work. So she called paramedics, and the paramedics showed up at my house. That was my first, really serious hospitalization. Came to, lots of fallout with everybody from that point. Kept doing it, still kept doing it, and...
Came to in the hospital?
Yeah, I didn't keep doing it at the hospital. It was just after I went home.
Yeah.
Right. I was very confused as to where I was and how I got there, and they said they could hear me screaming 3 blocks away. Yikes. Not my proudest moment. And then I decided I was going to stop the benzos, and while I was trying to stop the benzos, I did another PCP variant called 3-methoxy-PCP, which caused me to have seizures, and my girlfriend was with me at the time. I fell, put my teeth through my lips, and since I was anesthetized, my body didn't have the reaction to clear my lungs. And so my blood was pooling from my lip in my lungs, and I was drowning, basically.
Wait, you were inhaling your blood?
Yes, it was going down my windpipe. I was laying back, at an angle, and it was just all draining into my lungs. And so,
your lungs are filling with fluid of blood.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a very, very, very bizarre experience that time. That was a near-death experience. It was. I remember fighting in the dark and thinking, "Oh my God, I can't die. I can't die. I have a child to take care of. I have responsibilities. I can't die." And then I hear a faint voice say, "You're right." And then boom, I wake up in an ambulance. And there's this big bearded guy looking at me. He was one of the paramedics. He's looking at me, just grinning from ear to ear. He says, "We saved you, bud. You're going to make it." And I'm like, just very confused. I passed out, narrowly evaded a coma. I guess the doctor, he came in and he says, "You're super lucky because you were slipping into a coma." I slept for 12 hours. And then I was withdrawing from the opiates at the time, and they tried to give me Suboxone, but it was super early, threw me straight into precipitated withdrawals. And so they're like, "You can't leave for another 8 hours." So I sat in precipitated withdrawals in the ICU, which was not a pleasant experience.
Oh, come on. You loved it.
Oh, it was terrible. And then after that, still didn't learn my lesson, started doing fentanyl. I did fentanyl for about 4 months. And the reason I did fentanyl was I got drunk and then thought it would be a great idea to buy drugs. I was doing pretty good before that. And then, alcohol is completely off limits because...
Yeah, Zach, it sounds like you were doing just great before that.
Well,
if the story... Hold on a sec. If the story you just shared with me is your perception of doing great...
Well...
I mean...
I went...
You were doing great for a few
months.
A snippet of time.
Yeah, small, very small.
Where you weren't doing any drugs, or you were just drinking casually, or...
I wasn't doing any drugs. I drank casually once and immediately went on fentanyl.
Okay.
And so, like, that...
Oh, because you said you started drinking, you got drunk and decided to buy fentanyl.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I wasn't drinking, like, casually or regularly.
Yeah.
I drank one time.
And got shit-faced.
Relapsed. Yeah, got shit-faced and then relapsed immediately.
With fentanyl.
Yeah.
Well, you relapsed with the alcohol.
Yeah, I relapsed
first,
with the alcohol.
And then decided to graduate to the fentanyl.
Right.
Which you had not done fentanyl up until this point.
Oh, I had with the patches and...
Oh, yeah, that's right. But not like this, though, because you're buying it with the blues? Is that what you were...
Yeah. And powder. In that era of time, that was like the blues and the powder and whatever else I could get my hands on. It was terrible.
Dude, Okay, go ahead.
And so I was on the fentanyl for about 4 months before things were just really crashing.
Regularly.
Every day. Like, multiple times a day. It lasts for like 3 hours, so then you got to do it again.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't just, like, come down.
It is the most insidious drug on the face of the earth. I cannot think of anything that I've ever done that was more insidious. Because you don't really get high from it anymore after some time, and you're just constantly sick. The clock is always ticking, no matter
So now you're taking it not to get high, you're taking it so you don't get sick.
Right. You're just maintaining. The first couple of times you get high, but then after that, it's like, you're maintaining. And you don't want to do enough to get high because then you won't have enough to function. And so you're caught into this
vicious cycle.
Yeah, a vicious hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And eventually I ran out and I bought some pills and they were really not good. They didn't make me feel any better. And so I was like, wow, I'm just going to continue wasting money. I have to go through the withdrawals now.
So this brings to me a vision of where you guys, not you anymore, but you people that are doing fentanyl, right? I mean, you have ways in which drugs can be made. We have, like, say, where our ketamine is made for us. It's in a compounding pharmacy, a very sterile environment, right? But I always get this vision of the people that are making the fentanyl. I just got this vision of a guy wearing a wife beater shirt,
probably
with some yellow gloves. That go up. The yellow ones that go up to here.
Yeah.
He's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he's stirring shit up in a bathtub or a sink.
Some kind of foreign country.
That's what I kind of, and he's putting a little. How do you know how much was added? Did they mix it properly? Because when you're buying this shit, you're really going on that whoever made this in whatever bathtub in Malaysia, wherever.
Yeah.
You're just assuming that it was made in a compounding pharmacy.
No, definitely. I knew it was bad because it's always good or bad, or it varies in quality. And
yeah.
I wasn't IVing this though. I definitely was not.
Just popping the pills.
I was smoking it.
Okay.
And so, because that's the controlled way to do street fentanyl.
Yeah, of course.
As controlled as
it's so precise. Yeah, yeah.
It's not, but
I'm being a shit.
Right.
Okay.
It's true.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay.
But I came to this point where I had to go through the withdrawals, and I was also on benzos at the time because I started taking them to enhance the effects.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it, let's do it right. Yeah.
And so, and I had prescriptions already, so I just went and filled them. and I stopped both cold turkey at the same time, which was by far the worst withdrawals I've ever gone through.
Take a lot of showers, you did?
I tried.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
So we're going to take a pause real quick. And Patrick we're going to have you guys edit this section. Because just so you know, Patrick's making sure the batteries are good because we've been losing the last end of the podcasts. So I had Patrick come up in 40 minutes just to make sure what kind of battery life we have. Can you tell? And do you need to replace the battery?
This looks like it's over halfway.
Okay, we've got about 15 minutes, so we should be good. I'm going to take a look at the camera on Zach and see what it looks like.
Same thing, looks good.
Okay, so we've got the 15-ish minutes and we'll be good to go. Okay, so you guys are going to edit all that out, and we were talking about,
The withdrawals.
by far and away,
By far the worst.
oh, I just asked you, did you take a lot of showers when you were doing them?
As many as I could. I could barely walk. And by the second day, I was like, there's no way this could get worse. The third day was way worse. And it was so bad, I was hallucinating, obviously from
But wait.
benzos as well.
Did you have any temptations to go reuse to get
That's all I
yourself?
wanted to do. That's all.
Well,
I
what
wanted
stopped
to do.
you?
I had locked myself in the basement. Locked myself away from everything, turned my phone off. And I was just willpower, really.
Because you could have
Easily.
unlocked yourself in the basement.
Yeah, I could have. I had people that would have given me them to just make me feel better, you know.
But this was the end for you, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely the nail in the coffin. That was it for me being addicted to drugs. So I went upstairs.
So wait, this is like on the third day when you're like
Just in the worst possible state.
day 3.
Yeah, I was laying in my bed and I thought people were in there taking care of me. I felt like there was a woman like taking care of me.
Maybe there was.
And like I actually read there's a phenomenon when people are like in very physically demanding survival scenarios that they have these types of experiences where they feel that there's somebody there taking
Well, maybe
care of
because somebody really is there taking care of you. Maybe, somebody that's on the other side of the veil,
them. Right.
who sees that you're doing these things, that you're really making the effort to really do this. Maybe that's like a gift. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean that's how I look at it. And so I just get to the point where I tell myself, okay, I need to get some medical assistance. I need to be looked at because I don't know if I'm going to make it. Like if I was going to live through it, because I was also coming off of benzos. And so I dragged myself, I put my clothes on, dragged myself upstairs and told my mom, hey, I'm going through withdrawals. I need help. She says, okay, we'll drive you to Ogden. She drove me to Ogden ACT, and by the grace of God, the ACT was open. They had a bed. So they put me through detox.
Did you check into the ER first, or just go straight over to?
They had me go back around and go through the ER.
Yeah.
But I got in, which
Yeah.
was crazy lucky. They told me I was 1 in a million. You usually have to schedule your bed in advance. And so they put me through the detox, and while I'm in there, my dad calls me and he says, Zach, the cops have stopped by the house. And I said, oh, it's probably just my probation officer. He says, no, there were like 20 of them. And I'm like, oh no. Turns out I had gotten a DUI up in Logan, and I missed the court date. And so they were coming to get me because I had a warrant. So I got out of detox. They gave me this big laundry list of medications that I was going to be on at the time. And within an hour of me getting home...
Detox for what, 5 days?
Yeah, about 5 days.
Okay.
When I got home, I was home for maybe an hour, laid in my bed, was happy to be in my own bed, and I hear my dad talking outside of the window.
You know what's up.
With the cop, and I'm like, here they come. So I put my clothes on, and then they knock on the door. So I open up the door, and they're like, oh, we need you to step outside and talk to us. I said, look, can I get my shoes? And he says, well, I said, it's going to be cold, because it was the end of the summer. It was August 16th. And
A little chilly.
yeah, I marked that as my first sober day because I was off all the medications that day. And so I go and I'm like, I gotta put my shoes on because I know when I get out it's gonna be cold. And they're like, okay. So I walk over and get my shoes. I get out, they take me, book me into jail. I spent 4.5 months in jail.
Here in Brigham?
Yeah, in Box Elder. And that was mostly just waiting on court dates. By the time I had gotten to the actual charge, I had overstayed the maximum on my charge. And so while I was in jail, I actually opted to go into the mental health court program. Because my lawyer was like...
Wait, are you talking about the drug court for Judge Maynard?
It's like drug court, but it's for mental health related things.
Okay.
Rather. It's the same thing, kind of, but one's more centered on mental health and the other one's more focused on addiction.
Exceptions, yeah.
And so during that 4 months in there, my lawyer told me, he's like, if you want to change your life, this is the way to go. Because they have structure, it's really rigid and it's hard, but it's worth it and it will help you with tools to be able to function in everyday life. So I said, okay, let's do it. And so I went through, I observed the court, and then by the time I had gotten out, I was fully through withdrawals. I had listened to my daughter cry on the phone for about 20 minutes every night because she missed her dad. And this was the deepest realization for me, was my actions are causing my daughter to suffer directly. When is it going to be the end? This is it. I'm done. I'm not going to harm my child anymore. And so I got out, and while I was in there, I started getting into a little bit of a fitness routine. But when I got out, I started taking it really seriously. And I was working out every single day. And then I met somebody in there that actually works out with me now. And he started going over some things.
Is that the other fellow?
Mike, yeah.
Wait, is that the guy that was training you the other day?
Yeah.
That's Mike?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
He's also really in acquaintance with Clay. And so we've related a lot of the things that Clay has taught us to our working out.
So just so we're clear, the person Clay that he's referring to is probably an angel.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, disguised as a man.
He has to be.
Do you know what I mean?
He's such a good guy.
He's worked for adult probation, right? And had arrested and saved so many lives. You know, he volunteered working here.
Did he?
You know? Yeah.
And I'm sure he gets paid really good for the information he has, if he was getting paid for it.
He wasn't getting paid by me. I mean, he volunteered.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Amazing man. Amazing man.
Yeah.
And so, the principles that he's taught both of us, we use a lot in our lifting. This is the path we're on. This is who we're becoming, and we're making action towards that. And so these things have all come together to kind of make my perfect area of sobriety.
Which takes me to, there's a gym here in town, in Brigham City, that I go to every single, 6-7 days a week, right? If I miss a day, I feel weird. I don't feel good. So when I go to the gym, I don't do a whole lot of socializing. I've got my head down, got my headphones on, and I'm just getting after it. And I like to go from one machine to another. And I don't like to be the hog of a bench. So I see this big dude, right? You've gained weight since we've met last, right? Yeah, you put on a couple of extra pounds. It seemed like you grew 3 or 4 inches in height as well, right? So I see this big dude, and Mike, who also is a big dude, right? I see them, and I'm over having a conversation with another person. I'm trying to talk him into coming to do a podcast. Joe, I know you probably know who Joe is, who's also in recovery, who's a friend of Daniel, who's in recovery. It's amazing how many recovering people are in that gym. I mean, it's crazy. And I'm trying to talk him into coming to do a podcast, and I see this one and Mike acting like they kind of want my bench, and I got my protein shake that's there, and I'm like, surely they can see it, but these are some big boys, right? So, so I tell the guy I'm talking to, I gotta go, and then, you still I don't recognize you, at the moment. I just see this freaking monster, this big dude, right? Then you look at me and you see me, and you're like, hey, Tony. And I'm like, you blew me away.
I appreciate that.
I mean, I don't know how many times I had to hug you, right?
I actually ran into Jenny Lynn too.
Yeah.
And she had nearly the same reaction. She's like, I didn't even recognize you.
It's amazing.
It never gets old, people telling me that they don't
It's
recognize
just,
me.
based on what I saw when you were here, freaking all over the place.
I was very lost.
Yeah, and then I see you in the gym getting therapy. We talked about that at the beginning of this the beginning of this podcast. It is therapy, and everybody that I talk to, Mike, Joe, Dan, all these guys that are in recovery in various stages, they all say the same thing. This is therapy, and it is. So we're nearing the end of this podcast, and I'm going to do something with you that I do with everybody that comes to this podcast. I want you to look into that camera, and I want you to tell somebody. I don't know who's going to hear what you're about to say. Your thoughts on whether or not they can do this or not, and what's the purpose in doing it, and can they do this, and how can they do this?
So, as somebody who never thought they would get clean, I thought this would be the death of me. The addiction would take me over, because it nearly did multiple times. It's worth it. You can do it. And the reason you should is because you find your true purpose once you let go of what's holding you back.
Because we aren't on this planet, this big rock, to be stuck in that lie. Our purpose isn't to be stuck in that lie. Our purpose... Well, what is your purpose?
I believe that my purpose is to, A, be a really good father to my child. But secondarily, I think that I have the ability to guide people into finding their purpose.
By using the experiences that you had, knowing fully well at some point in your addiction crescendoed, maxed out place, I'm never going to stop doing this. This is me forever. That's what you were going to be.
Right.
But also somewhere in the back of your mind, you also know that's not where you want to be. Some little trickle back there somewhere, right? You're still, you know what I mean? It's always there, right?
It's almost a cliche amongst addicts when you see each other. Oh, I need to get clean. I plan on getting clean. Everybody always says that. Everybody. Every time maybe this will be the last time I get it because I'm getting clean. Everybody that's involved with it. I never heard somebody say, I'm not quitting. I'm staying on for the rest of my life.
I've heard a few people.
I've heard a couple, but for the most part, in the
Yeah.
circles that I was in, everybody was trying to get clean. And there's...
Well, I've only heard people say that when they relapsed.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, Zach, it was really a pleasure for you to come on. It was a pleasure to see you at the gym.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to see you too.
Do you think Beacon did anything for you?
Do you guys still have that infrared sauna?
I'm sorry?
You guys still got that infrared sauna?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe one of these days. But aside from that, I think the tools that I learned here have helped me a lot on my travels. I'm pretty secure at this point.
You're not the same person.
No,
Yeah.
certainly not.
Thanks, my friend.
Thank you.